interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Yes, episode 90. Remember the Show. It is Thursday, February 9th, 2023, 6:30 Eastern Time, couple hours early. But we appreciate those of you joining us live as usual. That's Belal. Remember the name Muhammad, the namesake of the show. My name is Jason Anik. Dude, UFC 284 creeping. Dude, in Perth, it's 13 hours earlier. We could have some fans come on, have coffee with us on Remember the Show tonight. You're heading to Arizona tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Big game Saturday. Got flag football. I gotta put my cleats back on. Go back to the old Billy Bogan days. But yeah, it should be a fun game, man. We had a celebrity flag football game. Everybody go check out Celebrity Sweat on Instagram. I think it's gonna be televised and everything, so it'll be cool. It's gonna be at the college down there, so it should be a fun time.
You say you think it's going to be televised. It better be televised. And if it isn't televised, someone better tell me where to go watch it. We'll get into that game in a minute. Did you see any of the Pro Bowl, the NFL Pro Bowl flag football at all from this weekend, knowing that you were about to compete?
I was watching some of it, but it just, I don't know, like flag the Pro Bowl, I think, died out for me a little bit. I missed the old Hawaii days, the throwback days.
I hear you. Well, I just, watching that, I couldn't help but think you were going to be doing the real thing, at Super Bowl weekend. So before we get into the topics, because we're going to talk more about that football. So I have to tell you, right? So Sadiq Youssef, one of our guests last week, right? It was his second appearance on our show. Okay. So he was on episode, I think 67 back in June. Right. So I said to Cody last week before the episode, I was like, I don't have Sadiq in my notes. But I feel like he's been on the show before. So I look back, it was the one episode I had COVID, right? So I didn't do that episode with Sadiq. So anyway, so he's on the show. We do the show Friday night instead of our normal Thursday slot. And I wake up Saturday morning with COVID-19 again.
No way.
Dude, is that not bananas? Now, I'm not trying to blame it on Sadiq, right? So since we last saw you, it has been rough for you. You probably hear it a little bit in my voice. And for those of you watching, in the pre-show with Belal, I don't like talking much. I'm not shaving that mob DJ. I appreciate it. But with Bully in the pre-show, I don't like telling him nothing. I like saving it for when we're here. But yeah, man, rough week. Tested negative for the first time this morning. Ready to go. But yeah, my second bout with COVID, man, no joke. But dude, how about the irony with Sadiq Youssef just creeping on
crazy.
my COVID?
What kind of symptoms did you have? Like hard breathing, coughing, everything?
Never had a problem breathing, coughing, but it was same as last time, bro. I thought I had a cold Saturday, Sunday, just really weak and tired. And Sunday night into Monday, it's like things dripping sweat, like I came back from running 6 miles, and I woke up Monday morning. I was like, yeah, it must be COVID, but my wife good, my kids good, so that's good, and I'm good now. I can't wait for this weekend. So, Mero, if you'd be so kind, throw up the topics because we will get to UFC 284. That'll be the meat on the bone tonight. But all right, this flag football thing. So, I mean, we got to talk a little bit about this. So, I hope I'm allowed to say Robert Griffin III is going to be throwing the pigskin your way. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got me a real quarterback.
Okay. So I assume you don't know much yet. Is that correct? I mean, you don't got that jersey number 88 yet, do you?
I don't know the jersey number, but I know we're getting jerseys. I know the team. They already have the team set. The other quarterback is Tracy McGrady. I know that me and Sean O'Malley are on the same team, so I got me a squad. But we're going against Justin Gaethje and Clay Guida. And both of them guys are nuts. So I don't know what kind of action we're going to get from Justin because he got a big fight coming up.
Yeah, right.
The dude's nuts.
Someone needs to tell Clay Guida several times that it's flag football. If I was some celebrity, I'd be like, really? You got UFC fighters coming to pull my flag, But dude, so I hope you'll be catching footballs.
Yeah. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to go out there right away. I'm thinking about going to get me some gloves. Give me some real gloves, some
100%
or something like that. Because I take everything seriously. I'm not doing nothing for fun. I don't do nothing. There's no intramural sports for me. I'm here to win a championship. I'm here to get a scholarship. I'm here to. I want the NFL to look at me in this game and be like, "Dang, who the heck is this guy? Who dropped the ball on this? How come the Bears never hit the guy up before?
Exactly. No intramurals here. I like it. Dude, you got to get those gloves. If you've never worn receiver gloves, and believe me, wide receivers in the NFL is talented as anything, but give me a pair of those gloves, go play in my backyard, see how many drops I have, with respect.
Oh, it's so crazy, right? They're literally like, it's like a magnet. And if you touch, everybody's all like, oh man, these receivers are crazy in NFL. They're athletic, this, and this. But like 90% of the catches, the glove. The glove assists there. I don't know what they put on those gloves, but all it needs to do is touch the pigskin and it's sticking.
So just in my notes, I know I don't need to tell a fundamental receiver like yourself, but just it could be a lot of stuff going on. Just make sure you look the football into your hands. Don't worry about where you're going until you get that football. You see it all the time with the pros. So look it into your hands. Then worry about that yards after the catch. But anyway, please tweet out. I know you will, where we can find it, because I will be tuned in. I wasn't tuned into that flag football.
It said something about like NBC, Fox. I'm not sure if they had like their own channel down there, but so I'm hoping it's gonna be like worldwide, nationwide, but I assume it will be. I think it'll be fun regardless. I think they have like their own website too. So maybe it'll stream on YouTube, but like I think it'll be on there for sure.
I love it. Can't wait. Moving on. Tough. The Ultimate Fighter. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. Yeah, I would have preferred Belal Muhammad versus Colby Covington. Certainly the DVR would have already been set, but I think I'll probably watch this one too. Originally, it said the fight was going to be at 170, or I heard some people that maybe thought, but it is going to be at 155. There's no room for these guys in the title picture at welterweight anyway, so I don't even, you know what I'm saying? So 155, let's keep it there. But talk to me. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Thoughts on where it's going to be at 155?
The funniest thing is hearing Islam talk about it. I was just like listening to his interviews, and he's like, yeah, I think Chandler's a lot smarter than people think. I think he loses his last 3 fights because he knows that Conor lost his last 3 fights. So now this fight would have made sense if he beats Poirier. So I mean, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Like Chandler came in here and he's been calling for this fight since he entered the UFC. Every single fighter wants this McGregor fight, the red panty night, and to get it with the Ultimate Fighter show, I think it'll be huge for him. For Conor, I think it's more so he has a movie coming out. He's a guy obviously loves attention. He hasn't been winning in the UFC, so maybe if he catches a couple wins as a coach, maybe that'll help him out. His original show of being an Ultimate Fighter, I definitely liked it. It was him against Faber. He had some hilarious moments on there. I just don't think he's the same guy. I think he just had a different hunger back then. So I'm trying to see which Conor shows up now. If he's going to be just out there in Vegas partying all the time, showing up to the show hungover and like doesn't even want to be there, or gives it to his other coaches. But I'm excited to see how it turns out.
I hear you. And I think it's interesting to mention the hunger. And I think my brother John had mentioned some things, just sort of curious what guy might show up. But John is steadfast in his opinion about McGregor's love of martial arts and of the UFC. And I think John really thinks that Conor really wants to compete and do well still. And while that hunger might not be able to be measured quite the same when you have, hundreds of millions or whatever it may be, I don't know. John still really thinks he's a martial artist at his core.
I mean, I think he picked the right fight to come back to. I do think this is the perfect fight. Chandler is a guy that's going to stand right in front of you and bang. He's not going to arrest you. I don't think he's going to play that game. He's not going to play the smart game, the IQ game, as people give it to him. I think he's going to come out there. Chandler loves the cheers and everything too. So he's going to want that style. And he's a guy that I think Conor can catch. I think Conor's a lot more precise than him. I think he's a lot faster than him, better footwork than him. So it is the perfect fight. I think it would have been a lot funner for the Ultimate Fighter to have Tony Ferguson on there, because it would have just been hilarious to see the back and forth between them two. Like I could see them two like fighting or something on there. Or
I hear you.
Just seeing Tony's coaching techniques, that would have been hilarious. But Chandler's always a fun guy. I know that. I want to see his coaches that he brings down with him, because, like I said, Jason Stroud is like the funniest dude in the world. I think the Ultimate Fighter needs to do like their own little segment on him, man. It'll be like hilarious, though.
Well, and Chandler can get into character too. Chandler's a good-hearted dude and a smart dude and a cool dude, but he can also play that game all day long.
Yeah. He's not going to shy away from trash talk or anything like that. But like, I don't want to see him get too out of character where it looks fake. He's very authentic. I know he's really good at cutting promos and everything, but like, can you cut a promo for 5 weeks straight? That's the thing I'm kind of catch.
I hear you. Moving on to number 3, the UFC PI in Mexico City. I mean, this was amazing when this crossed my wake. The PI in Vegas, I've never been. I know you spend a lot of time there, but it's an amazing facility for you guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you find that out, you're like, I can't wait to go to Mexico. I can't wait to have another spot where I can go train, heal, recover, meet other guys to train if in a specific specialty. I mean, right? This is great news for you guys.
Yeah, this is huge. I think, especially because I train at a gym with everybody at my gym is from Latin America. They're all from Mexico. I have a million training partners that are going nuts. Like, oh man, people don't understand how good guys they had down there. They just don't have the facilities and the places to train like that down there in Mexico and Guadalajara and places like that. They're all like smaller gyms, but those guys are hungry. And my coach was just down there with Yair. They were down in Mexico City and they were down in Guadalajara training for his fight for Emmett, because Yair does all of his training in Mexico. So he was just saying how many good guys are down there, and just come down there, come and visit this, and this, or we got to take a trip down there, because he's made a lot of connections down there and it was cool. So the fact that they're going to have a PI down there is huge for them. Now that they have a champion in Brandon Moreno, they're going to have another champion this weekend, hopefully with Yair. And then you have Alexa Grasso fighting for the title. So like Mexico is a huge market for them. And now that they have all those people and they're seeing these guys actually that train in Mexico making it to the top, that shows them that it's possible for them too.
I love it. It's just amazing, the employment opportunities at it's such an impressive operation, the whole thing. So I was thrilled when this next fight got announced. Miami, April 8th, perfect for both guys. George Masvidal. I love saying George and not Jorge. I don't really know why, but George Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, both local, South Florida. I obviously am thrilled that this fight was booked for different reasons, because it's sort of, the guys that I kind of wanted out of your way. Burns, an enormous favorite, which didn't surprise me. I'm kind of excited for this one. I just wanted your reaction to this thing being announced, and what you think of the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fight that you could tell Burns wanted forever. He was calling for that fight forever. I think for Masvidal, I think a lot of people are underestimating him. I think he does have really good takedown defense. I know his last fight he got knocked out, and the fight after that he got wrestled by Kobe. But I think when he fought Kobe, it was a lot more personal. I think that he fought with a lot of like built up aggression and anger, and I think it wasn't the right Masvidal, the same Masvidal as we've seen in other fights. I think it's going to come to this fight. It's not personal. There's not really no beef between him and Gilbert. I think it's going to be a lot tougher fight than Gilbert thinks it is. Gilbert coming off a big win against Magny. Magny just doesn't have the takedown defense that George does. I think George, in the first fight against Usman, he defended a lot of those takedowns, and he's a guy that pops up a lot. Kobe took him down a lot, but that means he popped up a lot. And then we saw him against Damian Maia. He defended all those takedowns. Damian Maia had his back for how long, didn't get tapped out. So I think it's going to be a lot tougher than Gilbert thinks. And Masvidal always has pretty good cardio. And we know that Gilbert gasses out a lot. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a decent fight. Obviously, it's going to be huge in Miami, and that's a huge card with Stylebender on there and the Pereira rematch. So I think that whole card will be good. But the biggest fights on there are my dude Gerald Mearshart and Ignacio Bahamondes. Right. Both of those guys are going to be on there. So I'll be down there in Miami too.
Let's go. I love it. Can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Yeah, it'll be interesting, that card. And I will say, I mean, it's interesting what you say about Masvidal, because John Anik, Kenny Florian, both are with you in terms of that line. Their original instinct, they thought that line would be a lot closer. I don't know, man. Maybe it's recency bias. Just Gilbert looks like he can do a lot of things in a lot of different places. And the activity for me is something, but I will say for Masvidal, this may sound like a joke. I don't really mean it that way. He kind of was able to settle what he needed to settle with Colby outside the octagon. I don't know where the legal proceedings are with that, but whatever he didn't get done inside the octagon, he might have scratched that itch a little bit outside on the streets. So
yeah, and it's like he knows this is like his last chance. If he wants the McGregor fight, if he wants that, you can't lose another fight. You can't lose 4 in a row. So I think that he's taking this fight seriously. I know that they were telling me that he was up in Mexico City too, doing some boxing training in high altitude down there like weeks ago. So that tells me that he is probably getting that hunger back. He is trying to change. He knows what he was weak in and what he wants to. He got embarrassed his last fight and lose it to somebody that you had personal biases with, personal arguments with, and then to get embarrassed a little bit like that, like you got to come out and show it. Like you can't. I don't know how many fans are going to keep following you. You don't have that same Diaz fan base. I think that no matter what, if you lose, you didn't lose until the bell is done or you're dead.
Yeah, Cody said.
Yeah, in your hometown too.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, and close to your hometown, Milwaukee. How about that Jorge Masvidal boxing card in Milwaukee? That's
the crazy thing too, because that's the week before. And I'm like, when I saw
the week before.
Yeah, that's the week before his fight. And I was like, that's a little interesting. I mean, that's crazy. I know he said that it won't bother him at all because he's just watching fights and he's just promoting fights and it's going to get him back in that zone. But like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes when you're running a fight league and have huge names like that on your card. You have Anthony Pettis, Roy Jones Jr., Jose Aldo against Jeremy Stevens, Paul Daly on there. There's some sick fight. There it is right there. Vitor Belfort against Jacare. Like, there's some interesting fights on that card. I'm like, how the heck is he paying all these guys? Or what is he paying all these guys? I don't know if they all got like a percentage or something, but like those are all big names. And to come into boxing, and it's like, I don't know how big Masvidal's league is. I didn't know it was that big. I thought it was like a local show.
And I'm not always compelled by those exhibition boxing, but that one got me. Well, I am compelled by the card this weekend. We're going to move on to Bix UFC 284. Cody Merrow. Join us at your convenience. I don't know if my brother put the picture or video of him with a wombat on his bat on the internet at all, but he sent us like this picture of him with like a wombat. You know, he's in Australia, right? And he's at the fucking zoo or whatever, and he's got a wombat on his, and I'm going to find it because he looked so uncomfortable with that wombat on his lap. You wouldn't believe it. You know, Dominic Cruz got like a snake wrapped all around his neck.
Oh, dude. When I was in Dubai, they put the snake on me. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But it was like the last thing that did. No, you have to. Just for the video. I was like, it was the most uncomfortable thing ever because I hate snakes, and they had like a huge one around my neck, and I was like, bro, dude, what the heck? Yeah.
No thanks. Anyway,
I saw a photo as well or a video of Alex Pereira's coach Plinio Cruz with a tiger in Dubai. I'm like, I don't care how trained it is. It's still a fucking tiger. I'm not messing with that. I've seen.
Yeah, we were in the lot. We were at the cage.
Tiger King with the nub walking around. Like, that's not fake.
We were in the cage with like a baby lion, and then like the baby lion like jumped at me, and I was like, oh, just backed up, and he said, no, cover your face whenever he jumps at you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, he'll claw your face out, and I was like, no, why am I in here with him? Like, it doesn't. Like, what the heck do you mean? Just cover your face. But how did he say the jet lag is for him right now?
So, I honestly, I don't think he doesn't even know. It's such a weird. He's pretty cool right now, but it's like 36 hours door to door. And the killer, man, is when you get to Sydney, you know, you still got like 8 to 10 hours of travel time, like a few hour layover, and then like a cross country United States flight, like South Florida to San Francisco, you know? It's just, so it beats him up pretty good. He slept for a good amount. But the jet lag, it's like he has to wake up at 3 a.m. I think the first prelim is at 7 a.m. local time. So he's waking up at 3 a.m. So even right now, while he might be like, I was like, are you on Perth time? He's like, I don't even know what you mean. Like, he just sort of sleeps when he can and he works. And, but exercise usually helps a lot with the jet lag. I think he just sort of gets in his exercise, you know, gets running and just sort of work. He's just in his zone, man. Like, we have the same DNA. I know people hate hearing it, but he didn't get COVID. I was with him like all day Friday before the show. And he didn't get a sniff of it. So, but he's good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I fought in Australia, and it was like you said, it was like the longest flight time ever. It was like 36 hours for me. And I was in Sydney, but like they had us like an 8-hour layover in like Hong Kong. It was like the worst flight ever. And then we got to Sydney, and Lou was about to get sent back to America because we filled out like his passport form for him. And like we filled it out wrong for him. And then they were like, they stopped him at the customs. They were like, you lied on your passport form. We're going to send you back. He's like, no, please. We're here for the UFC. I beg you, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I didn't fill it out. They filled it out for me. I was sleeping. And then he had to like write a whole letter saying why he won't let nobody fill out his form for him. It was like a freaking punishment, teacher punishment. It was like the stupidest thing ever. But I was like, bro, 36 hours and they're about to make you fly back to America. That would have been the worst thing ever.
Well, exactly. And I was sort of thinking, that's funny you mentioned it. I was thinking John's going to land there with COVID, you know, like it's going to hit him on this plane. I'm going to be like, bro, if he had what happened to me here in my house on that plane. But dude, so you fought in Australia. How was the jet lag for how long before you fought? Were you there?
We got there probably 10 days before.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I was there like, 10 days. So it wasn't that bad, but like, I wasn't really even thinking about it. It was more so, it wasn't there 10 days before just for the jet lag. It was just like to go check out the zoos and check out Australia. It was just like cool to go down there. But yeah, it didn't really affect me until I got back to America. That's when it hurt me most. But being down there, it was like the best place I've ever been. And I was like, I always wanted to go back, but it was just so far of a flight. I was like, yeah, I don't want to go back for that.
Yeah, man. John's wearing thin. It's just so far, man. You know, that 1-2 ride is 17 hours, man. Like, I don't let, I pushed out a tweet. I said, anytime you want to drop that landed symbol somewhere, text me or something,
Yeah. And a little different to go there and to have the stadium show like they did the last time, but again, to go to Perth where it's like 15,000, it's like, damn, like if I'm coming over here, I wish it was for like the country of Australia, not just the 15,000 people in the room, 50,000, 60,000 people.
Yeah.
But this main event, I mean, and a good way to segue into the car, but this main event, I mean, I don't care if it's in the Apex in the building for that fight. But that's not the first one we're going to talk about. First one we're going to talk about Jack Della Maddalena versus our boy, Rude Boy Randy Brown. Is it Randy Rude? No, it's Rude Boy Randy Brown, isn't it? Because John will fuck me up if it was supposed to be Randy Rude. It's got to be Rude Boy in front of the Randy Brown. Anyway, we call him Rude Boy. So I can't wait to talk to you about this one. So 3-name Jack, as Brian Petrie calls him. How great is that? 3-name Jack. You don't got to worry about Della Maddalena. So 3-0 in the big show, coming off back-to-back first-round TKOs, performing for the Knights. Last one, Danny Roberts back in November. He's a huge favorite here. I maybe was a little more surprised than most over our guy, man. Like, dude, Randy Brown getting better and better and better. I know you shared the octagon with him 6 years ago. He's won 4 in a row. No respect here. A lot of experience for our boy Randy. I'm really excited to see him fight Bully. Start us out here.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when I saw the line, I was like, man, Randy Brown is on a huge win streak. We just saw what he did to Chaos Williams, has crazy power. He's a dangerous guy. And he went in there with his hands down, smooth, using his head movement. I actually like Randy Brown in this fight. I think that he's so long. He has great length. He's fought some of the best guys in the division. He's been in the UFC for so long. For Jack, you're fighting in your home country. There may be extra pressure there. And this is like a huge step up for him compared to the other opponents that he's fought. There's a difference. There's a level to it. And I think what Jack's good at is boxing, really good head movement, really good hands, like really good technique with everything he does with his hands. I just think that Randy, he has, I think he's a black belt or brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He does have really long length, and he's good at clinching. He's not afraid to go for a takedown or even pull a guard. He's pretty good off of his back. And I think that with his movement, footwork, and just confidence, I think that he's going to come out there. I think he's going to beat Jack a little bit. I love it. He stays out there, keeps his jab in his face, keeps his push kick in front of his face. We saw what he did with that up kick where he broke his toe. Like, those little things are going to be the difference maker. And he's just, all you got to do is stay out of boxing range with Jack, stay out of his power range. And we saw how he was able to do that against Chaos Williams. I think he'll be able to do it to Jack.
I love it. So, Cody, 3-name Jack was born in Perth. Could that be possibly a reason for this swollen line?
He was born in Perth?
He was born in Perth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, Cody, I assume you like the favorite here. Talk to me.
I do, but I mean, Randy Rude Boy Brown, born in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Western Mass, Springfield, Basketball Hall of Fame, right? Attaboy. See, I'm trying to do my research like my brother. All right. Go ahead,
you guys are the kings. I do like Jackie 3-names here, but every time I listen to Belal talk about a fight, my opinion changes. I mean, I go and look at Tapology. Randy Brown's last 3 fights by decision, Jackie 3-names last 3 fights, all finishes. What if Randy Brown drags him into deep waters? He hasn't seen it. It is a higher level of competition. Randy Brown is a tried and true UFC veteran at this point. Jackie 3-names is fairly new to the promotion, fairly new to fighting. I think it's very interesting. I do think Jack Della, that's why I say Jackie 3-names. Jack Della,
there you go.
It's done. But I mean, I think if you're going to go that route, it's going to be by finish. So I think it's a pretty easy fight to bet. It's one of those where you want to bet the number, not the result. If you're betting the number, you got to go Randy Brown. The value's there, plus 255. I like Jackie 3-names by finish. Fight to go decision is plus 140 on the DK Sportsbook. DK Sportsbook, use code AFPOD to get $5 and turn $5 into $200 in free bets. Got to work on the promo there. But I do think Jack gets it done, but it's a hell of a fight. I mean, it is a huge step up in competition. I'm excited.
For Randy, I'll say, I mean, this is a huge opportunity for him. I mean, man, I'd love to see him hand raise there. No disrespect to 3-name Jack.
Former RTS too. I love when when I put these together and I'm doing the stars and it's like former RTS contestant. It's like at one day we're going to have a whole card where every single person has been on Remember the Show. I think that's the goal.
I hear you. Moving on. Couple of title fights. First one, an interim featherweight title. Dude, what a matchup here. Like, I love it. Yair Rodriguez, so minus 180, Josh Emmett plus 155. This line's moved a little bit. I'm just thrilled for both these guys to get this co-main event spot right underneath that, pound for pound matchup. But more importantly, to get the opportunity to reach the title. I mean, Emmett's about to be 38. Yair certainly deserves it. Emmett's, been more active than most recently beat Cater. Close fight. So Yair, he lost to Holloway November 2021. Then he beats Ortega last July, but Ortega did have the shoulder injury. But he looked great, unless I'm mistaken, Yair, in that one round, and he is just a killer. So, of course, he deserves to be the favorite here in my mind. Bully, I know you know Yair well. I know Mike Valley was down there. I probably know where you're going to go with this. But break it down for me, and ultimately, how does it end, and who you got?
Yeah, like you said, when I'm looking at their last couple fights, Yair, I know he takes a lot of time off in between fights, but every single fight, he's coming back a different fighter, a better fighter. And when you're fighting a guy like Max Holloway, I know he lost that fight, but he forced Max Holloway to shoot a takedown on him. Max Holloway doesn't shoot takedowns. And so that just tells me that his kicks, his body kicks, his freaking head kicks that he was landing on Max Holloway, they were really hurting. And it was like kind of frustrating Max because you don't know where they're going to come from. People say like, oh, this guy's a video game guy. And he truly is. Like, honestly, when you play with him, when you train with him, he does that type of stuff in practice. He'll sit there, jump off the cage, throw spinning kicks and little stuff like that. That's why I feel like he gets hurt a lot in his fights because he's reckless with his stuff. He'll throw it all. I don't care if my foot's broken. I'm going to still throw it at you 20 more times because he's not afraid of that. And he's not afraid to try newer things. For Josh, obviously, I think he's a guy that doesn't get a lot of respect. He's had a couple fights where they were really close split decisions. And a lot of people, fan base say, oh, it was this guy or that guy. But I think he earned this spot right now. I think he earned this. Like you said, being at this age, you're at the point where you're like, bro, like, I want to fight for the title. And everybody's goal is to get to that belt. And, to have that opportunity, people can say it's enter a belt or not, but you're still going to get a belt around your waist if you win this fight.
Yeah, ask Dustin Poirier about the interim belt. Just fine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think that, he's hungry for it. I just think that Yair is going to be too much of a difficult matchup for him. I think Yair's weaknesses is wrestling, grappling. If guys take him down, they can maybe hold him down, but Emmett goes in there kind of like with the same Michael Chandler style where I'm going to go in there trying to knock you out, use my hands, use my boxing. But I think Yair's kicks, they're going to be way too much for him. His unpredictability is going to be way too much for him. He's going to come up with these weird kicks, spinning back kicks, crazy elbows. And I'm going to call for a finish here with Yair.
I like it. Just have to shout out Arnold Allen because he could certainly be in this spot, but next best thing, getting blessed Holloway. Almost a nice consolation prize there. That one on.
It's crazy because he got hurt anyway, didn't he? I think he got hurt because he was supposed to be on the London card with the Max Holloway, but he ended up getting hurt regardless. So maybe it happened for a reason.
I hear you. Bone Marrow. Which way you going in the co-main event?
I mean, Josh Emmett has clearly done enough to get this shot, right? It's probably well-deserved and probably a couple of years too late. 37 years old, a little late in the game, but his credentials are there. You look at his record, you look at the fighters that he's fought, high level of competition, a high level of skill. The fights that he has won against the high-level competition, he's looked great in. And I don't know how you can bet against that beard. I mean, you see that beard that he's going with. I always bet the beard, trademark, bet the beard. That's what you want to do when you have a fighter out there. He trains that Team Alpha Male. I've never seen anybody. I was almost about to use the term midget. That's not very nice. I've never seen a team of short guys wrestle very well as much as Team Alpha Male. And there's no question that he's been working in that coming in. The question I have is, at 37 years old, do you change how you fight in a fight of this magnitude? I don't think he does. I think Yair's 7 years younger than him, but ranks 7th all time amongst active featherweights in strikes landed with far less fights. He's an absolute killer. He's a savage in the octagon. And who better to defend wrestling against than Belal Muhammad when you're training for a fight like this? So Yair obviously has that in his back pocket. I think he'd probably surprise a lot of people. I'm sure Bully would agree. His cage wrestling defense is very good. His open sprawl wrestling is underrated, as we saw in the Ortega fight. His reversal in the Ortega fight was incredible. I thought he looked really good. He caused that injury. I think Yair does get a finish, as Bully predicted. Where that happens, I don't know. But I could see him doing it in a very highlight reel fashion. So I think Yair is going to be and new champion, and he's going to defend that or fight for that belt, sometime later this year, stateside.
Both guys on Yair Rodriguez. Belal, where are you watching the fights, by the way?
That was my thing. I was like, bro, I gotta figure out a place to watch the fights. I know Jamal Hill was down there for some Super Bowl media, so
where is
maybe
it,
I'll
Jamal Hill?
link up with him and we'll find something. But yeah,
Exactly.
I have to watch this fight. I'm not gonna miss this
See,
fight.
hey, Ali Abdelaziz, can we get an event in Phoenix, a little appearance for Bully Muhammad, please? A lot of people would like to show up and watch the fights with him. What an opportunity. Anyway.
Well, we'll talk to Sean O'Malley's manager. Oh, wait, that's Sean O'Malley. And they can do a live stream. You know, Sean O'Malley, Jamal Hill, Bully B.
There you go.
3 future champions of the UFC all in one stream watching the fights. I love it.
Love it. Main event of the evening, lightweight title. Alexander Volkanovski moves up to lightweight to defend his number 1 pound-for-pound ranking and take on newly minted champion Islam Makhachev. I can say now your teammate, Bully, submits Charles Oliveira, wins the belt back in October, now gets Volk. Volk, he's such a big dog here, and I just think he's such a special athlete. I think his speed is so special. I think his athleticism is special. I'm going to let you guys chop it up. I've said this ad nauseum on this program, but in Jacksonville, when he beat the Zombie and at the outset of the fight in the first round, Zombie's laughing at his speed right away. I promise you that's what was happening. Just laughing like no fucking way. I think he's got a shot, man. I really think he's got a shot. Obviously, I've met Volk. I've had to spend a little bit of time with him. Certainly Islam's in your back pocket. Cody, why don't you pick this one first, and then we'll let Belal take it home.
So I was going to jump in first because I just think people are sleeping on Alexander Volkanovski. And I don't know how you do that against somebody who is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, which I do have issue with the pound-for-pound rankings, but that's for a different time. Volkanovski has fought guys that are as long or as tall as Islam. Max Holloway, he absolutely styled on him. I was there in person for the last fight. His striking and distance management is very good. He's been training with Craig Jones down in New Zealand, and he has this weird fighting tactic where he's sitting there sparring or whatever, and then gets a tap on the shoulder and has to defend a takedown from 6'3" Craig Jones or 6'2" Craig Jones. Huge guy. Craig Jones came out and said that if Volkanovski can get out of a submission from Brian Ortega, then Islam is not going to have the type of submission skills that Brian Ortega has. I'm very interested to see where Bully lands on proving me wrong here, but I've got to bet the number. I think Volkanovski is a huge value here, plus 310. He's not going to be in any of my parlays, which I love the Dagestani parlay of Zuba and Islam on this card, but I got to bet the number for the sake of the show. Alexander Volkanovski plus 310. That's where I'm going. Bully, why am I wrong? And tell me how badly I'm going to be wrong.
Dude, it's so funny when you're describing that video where you said, oh, somebody tapped him on the shoulder, and then Craig Jones is right in there grappling with them from hitting pads. And then I'm reading the comments and people are like, bro, this is the stupidest training technique ever. What is this training? I'm looking at it and I'm watching. I'm like, dang, that's a hot idea. Let me bring it to my gym. And then I'm looking at these morons on Twitter that are just like, bro, this is the stupidest. What does this even mean? Like, why would somebody just tap you on the shoulder and go for a takedown? But it's funny, man. It's like people are just so clueless and they act like they know what they're talking about. But, bro, when I'm looking at this card and I'm seeing everybody talking about this card and they're like, oh, man, this card is so top heavy. There's nothing else, bro. Like, I would pay $80 just for this one fight. I would pay $80 just to watch this fight. This is pound for pound number 1 versus number 2. Never happened before in the UFC. These are 2 of the best guys in their prime at the right time. And Volkanovski's a monster. Like, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch because you can learn a lot from watching a guy like that who doesn't have the craziest power, like you said, the fastest hands, but he's very good at using his tools the right way. He's very good at adjusting mid-fight and channeling it to do something different. Like, he understands the game plan. So I think they're going to have a good game plan for Islam. I just think they don't understand how strong Islam really is. I don't think they understand how it feels to be grabbed by somebody like him. I know Craig Jones, a monster on the ground, but it's the difference between Sambo and Jiu-Jitsu. There's a big difference. And like, they understand what it really is in a fight. Like, they have a fight mentality with everything they do. And Craig Jones doesn't have a fight mentality when he's doing jiu-jitsu. Yeah, he has go for subs, go for that. But like, these guys are thinking about ground and pound. These guys are thinking about where to put their hips when they want to posture up and elbow you in the face. Craig Jones doesn't do jiu-jitsu like that. He does his jiu-jitsu, leg locks, the new style jiu-jitsu. And I know he could put him in all these weird bad positions for Volk to get subbed or something like that. But once he feels Islam's strength, it may take 2 or 3 takedowns where he holds him down. He may pop up after the first one. The crowd will go nuts and they're going to think he's going to get away. But second or third round, once he grabs him down again, because he's not going to lose that strength. He doesn't get tired. He keeps that same strength for every single round, same level of wrestling for every single round. When you go back to the Arman Tsarukyan fight, Arman is one of the best wrestlers in the division, and he had to take him down a countless number of times. I know he said he was sick before he went in there, but like it was still considered a short notice fight for both guys. Arman took it on short notice, but Islam also did too. And you're not expecting this newcomer to come in here with this great of wrestling. So, and for the fact to be like, dang, this is a crazy tough fight that I'm dealing with. And the fact that he still went through it, still won the fight, it tells me a lot about Islam, because Arman's one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen. And Islam's takedowns that he had to do in there, he had to go from single leg to double leg to body lock to trip, adjust to the headlock. Like the scrambles in that fight were crazy. And I don't think that Volk has that type of wrestling or that type of wrestling repertoire that Arman does, where he could scramble and get up from those spots. Volk's only way to win, I think, is by knocking him out. And Volk's not one of those guys. He doesn't have crazy power. I know he's tough. He lands a lot of volume, but he doesn't really finish guys with one punch power. And I think that's the only type of fighter that Islam will lose to, because any of the other guys, they're going to end up drowning into it.
Yeah, you moved the needle for me, definitely. That 10 pounds, I think, has to help Volk. I can't really envision that 10 pounds hurting him. I'm not saying it, I can't in terms of strength. Someone playing rugby at a couple 100 pounds, and I know we got 4 inches here. But I don't know how. I do think, don't you think his hands are super fast? You would know more, Volk. I mean, the power, you would know more than me.
Yeah.
But I think Volk thinks.
I think that his hands they're not fast. I think they're fast, but he's really good at putting combinations together in the right way. Like in that last fight against Holloway, the combinations that he went up and down, like it was beautiful to watch. And it was just like frustrating Holloway, who's usually that guy who uses that high volume on you. But I just think that if he's going to use that volume on Islam, when you're in boxing range, that means you're in wrestling range. You got to be in kicking range to get away from the wrestling range. And Volk's legs aren't long enough to be in kicking range where he could hurt Islam. So when you're in that boxing range, that means Islam can grab you. That means for my hands to reach you to punch you, that means you're going to be able to reach me to grab me and hold me.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think I said to Cody or someone this week, like, sometimes these matchups, once they get in the cage, you're like, oh yeah. Like, it's just not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, I hope I'm not sitting there be like, yeah, Volk he can't get in. I hope it's a nice scrap, because sometimes these matchups don't work out so well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm a fan of both, but like, as Islam's my brother, so I want to see him dominate this fight, but like, I also want to see a great fight. I want to see people to see a different side of him, because I know he wants to show that he does have striking, he does have knockout power, and I know that people look at him and they think that he's just going to be this boring grappler. He's just going to take guys down and hold them down. But he dropped Oliveira with his right hook. He could have finished him with just ground and pound right there. And then you would have been like, oh, dang, he does have power. He does have everything. He's a complete fighter. And I think that he's going to show a lot of it with this fight. But I just hope he doesn't go in there too confidently, thinking that, I'm going to outstrike him because I'm a lot longer and this little guy, how they keep calling him at. And then for Volk, you really had nothing to lose, because it's like you go in there, you lose. Oh, well, I lost to Islam. It was a lot bigger, so let me go back down. And if I do win, I'm the best pound for pound king. I'm a two division champ. So he has everything. For Islam, it's like you go in there, you beat Volk. Well, Volk was a lot smaller than them. That wasn't really a matchup for you, yada, yada, yada. Oh, all you did was wrestle. So there's going to be all those excuses and naysayers. So there's really no win for Islam, but there's a huge upside for Volk here.
Well, and I just wanted to add to that. I don't think Volkanovski is fast. I think he beats you to the spot, or he beats you to his spot. And I think in the Max Holloway fight, that's where he's beating you on the 2 and the 3 and the 4 punches in the combination quicker than you can. And that's why he's fast. But Islam, on that same account, is faster to his spot, which is the single leg, which is the double leg, which is the chain wrestling, which is the cage wrestling. So the question isn't speed, it's can you get beaten to your spot? And I think that's where the reps and the amount of sheer time in the cage is going to help Islam in that effect. And then a question that I have for you, Belal, is, so Craig Jones said that the rear naked choke from Ortega is, stronger or different than Islam. And my point to Jason, when we were in the pre-show, was I'm sure a lot of people think that about Khabib's squeeze too, but when he's choking out Conor and he's doing that thing with the fulcrum behind the back, he's not doing a jiu-jitsu move. He's doing a I'm going to kill you move. So like, I just walk through like positionally, or, what makes that squeeze different from an Islam than Craig Jones maybe doesn't understand.
I mean, you could just look at it with his last fight against Oliveira, where he tapped him out with an arm triangle from half guard. Guys don't do arm triangles from half guard, or you don't really finish guys from half guard. And the way that I forgot somebody was talking about it, where like how Oliveira was just like tapping super crazy hard. It just told you how strong that squeeze was. It was a painful squeeze. It wasn't a normal squeeze. Like when you're getting choked, it's like, all right, let me just go to sleep. That's the worst thing that could happen. You fall asleep. But Oliveira was in pain because of that squeeze, and he was tapping. Like you've been in jiu-jitsu a million times. Oliveira is one of the best grapplers in the world, and he was tapping out from half guard to an arm triangle. So if that doesn't tell you how hard that squeeze is or how great that squeeze is, even that Kimura with a hooker, when he got him in that Kimura, and he's like you said, they're going out there to rip your limb apart. Like it doesn't have to be in the right spot or not. Like these guys are so strong where they'll just do it to do it. And I tell you, these guys grapple every single day. These guys probably have the same amount of hours of grappling that Volkanovski does in a week, in a probably day. Like these guys are nonstop, and he's grappling with the same guys with the same strength. And you're grappling with Khabib, who's one of the strongest guys in the world, and every single other person in his camp. I know a lot of people say, well, right, Khabib's not going to be there, but what about this guy or that guy? Or Khabib's not there. What's next? But like every single
army, there's an army there. You're fine.
They're literally a full army of guys that have that same freaking grappling regimen and everything.
So UFC 284.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
That's why I love the Zuba price. I mean, I think Zuba's in there at like a minus 210 or minus 190 or something like that. I think you're getting a lot of value there when Zuba is obviously probably the main training partner for Islam for this fight. And their pace is just unheard of. I mean, like Belal said, the amount of hours that, we're talking about the amount of hours that Michael Phelps felt in a pool is what Islam has done on the mats since he was a child. It's not, you can't make up that level of wrestling dominance like over a year, over any type of time. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's an absolute, like Belal said, it's a pound for pound star matchup. It's one of those matchups where you're really going to be able to say, yeah, listen, weight classes do exist for a reason.
I like it. So UFC 284 going to be banging. Can't wait, but make sure you get that information out there. I want to watch you play football first. So when is the game, by the way?
Saturday morning.
Okay. All right. So is it, well, just get that information out there. Yeah, Cody's going to look up some information. Anyway, safe travels, my brother. I hope y'all enjoy UFC 284. Right before we get out of here, though, where Colby Covington at? Where's he at?
Please, somebody find him. Somebody give me his number. Please, I'm going to wear blindfold when I'm doing it. Like, we'll be all good.
Yeah, exactly. For Cody Merrow and Belal, remember the name Muhammad. My name is Jason Anik. We appreciate you joining us on Remember the Show. We'll see you next Thursday night. Enjoy the fights. Later.